Okay, so time now to create our very first data template. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to assume that we have a construction company and it's called Acme Construction. And, we want to put a public form on our website, which it more or less is like a, expression of interest, somebody reaching out to us for a construction project. So let's see how we can do that. For me to get started, I can hit the new button here to create a brand new data template. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, this brings me to this page, and obviously, it's asking me for a data template name. Whether I want to make the status active or keep it inactive for a while, if I want to expose it to the public or keep it private, and whether you can have multiple submissions against it or just a single submission. So let's call this, let's call it contact us for now. We're going to keep it active. It's a public form, multi-submission. There's also a checkbox here that allows you to access this data publicly, through the API. I'm going to leave that unchecked for now and come down to this section, which is basically where we drag and drop our form components to create a simple form. Okay, so let's say in the form we're going to need a person to submit their name, email, and a few other details about their project. So let me drag this text field in here, and let me name the label full name. And as you can see, whatever, on the right hand side, it's going to show you exactly how your element is going to look like. I'm going to skip over most of the stuff. I do want this field to be required, so I'm going to check the required over there in the validation tab, and then I'm just going to go and actually, one more thing that I'm going to do, which you should always do, is have a minimum length required, or at least a maximum length. So I'm going to say minimum 2 and a maximum of, let's say, 100 seems okay for this field. And that just means that, you will need to enter a minimum 2 characters in there, and a maximum of 100 characters will be allowed. And I'm just going to save that. And then let's go on to the email. Now for email validation, if you click on the advanced button here, you'll see an email control. So let's drag that in here. And then let's just say email is fine. And actually you can even put a placeholder. And I'm going to put a placeholder, and I'm going to say enter email address. Again, in the validation, I'm going to say it is required, and then in the maximum length, I'm going to set the maximum length to 200 for now. And then as you can see on the right hand side, it's showing me exactly how the form element is going to look, and I'm going to go and save that. I'm just going to make a change here in the first element that I've dragged, and for me to make that change, I didn't put a placeholder in there. I'm just going to put a placeholder in there, and for me to make a change, as soon as I hover over this element on the right hand side, you can see that menu that shows up. That first button is an edit button. Second button is to drag it. Disregard the third button for now. This button will copy the element, and this button will remove the element. So I just want to edit the element and put a placeholder in, and I'm going to say enter your full name, and then I'm going to save it. So now you can see I have the name and the email address already taken care of. Now let's say we want to have an option like a radio button where we want the user to select if it's a new construction or a renovation. So for that, I'm going to go back to the basic here, and I'm going to select radio and drag it down here. And for this, I want to say, please select. And then I'm going to give it some options in a second. So if I click on the data tab here, I can put in my options. So the label is new construction, and then I'm going to add another, and I'm going to say renovation. And as you can see, this is how it's going to look, but I don't like the look of that. I want these to be side by side. So I'm going to go on the display again and click on the inline layout. And now, as you can see, they're going to show side by side. The other thing I'm going to do is I do need this information. I'm going to click the required attribute there and then save it. So as you can see, it's now showing up on the form. Both the options are showing side by side. Now let's assume that we need one more option, which is going to be a drop down, which is going to be, we want to know what budget that user or that person has. So we're going to, again, stay on the basic tab here and select this option, the select option. I'm going to drag it down, and then I'm going to say the label is what is your budget, and then I am going to add my data here. Let's say less than 10,000. Add another option. Let's say 10,000 to 50,000, and then add another last option, and that's going to be more than 50,000. So as you can see, it's showing me how it's going to show up, and again, I'm going to make this a required field. So click on that, make it required, and save. And you can see how it's showing me those options there. And then let's say I want to add one last field, which is basically free form text, and give them the option of describing their project however they want to describe it. So let's go to that and select text area. Okay, drag that down and say please describe your project below. Put a colon there, and then I am going to basically in validation, I'm going to set that as required again, and save that. So that's basically our form, and I'm just going to say okay, that I'm done for now. So let's click on that button to save that data template. I'm going to go back to the system and save it, and then it's going to bring me back on this page, and as you can see, it's telling me your data template has been saved. If you wish, you can continue to make changes on this template below, right? So even though we saved it, if you wanted to make changes on this, add fields, delete something that we already have, as long as we haven't had any submissions against this form, you are free to go and do that. So again, that was it, simple as that. Drag and drop, create a form, and then let's see how this form shows up on the actual website. Okay, so now let's take a look at see how it's showing me now that I have one data template that I've already created. So let's go and take a look at this data template. and there it is. It's showing me that contact us data template. Now, I mean, you know, once you start building up more and more data templates, it's, you know, you want to get them organized and not just have them all show up here, because it's very hard to find that particular data template that you're looking for. And we'll get into that organization in a bit. But for now, let's just click on that and take a look at what it's telling me. So it's telling me that, you know, that's the name of the data template. It's a public data template. It's multiple submissions. We did not allow data access via in the API, and it's in active state right now. I have an options button here. If I click on that, it's asking me, you know, it's telling me that I don't have any folders created. We'll get to that in a second, but if I did, I could move folders. If I wanted to duplicate this data template, I could click that button and duplicate it as well. The one more thing that is showing me here is my submission link. Now, let's say I didn't. I can either put this, you know, in my website, and we'll show you how to do that in a bit, maybe in another tutorial. But I can even just copy this link and you know, send it over to someone to fill this data template. Because it's a public data template, anybody has access to this. All they need is this URL. And so I'm just going to copy that, and let's say if I paste it here, it's going to load up my data template. So I can send this in an email, I can send it in a text message, I can get people to fill this form up for me multiple ways, or I can even embed it into a website if I wanted to. But anyway, so that's what, you know, I can add it to my favorites. Let's go ahead and do that. Add it to my favorites. Now, as you can see, it's been added to my favorites. And if I go here, you can see my favorites, and it's showing me that I've added this form to my favorites. I can obviously delete it from my favorites by clicking that button and then hitting the delete. I don't want to do that. And if I just wanted to, you know, let's go back to the folders here and to the data template section here. So let me click on that once again, and you know, let's take a look at. So the other thing here I see is a more details button. If I click on that more details button, it brings me to a screen where I can see a little more detail, and I have the option of changing this from active to inactive. If I change this from active to inactive at this point, you will not be able to, or nobody will be able to make a submission against it. So if you have a form that you're not ready to you know, make public yet, or if you have a form that's been public and you want to disable access to it, you can just click here and make it inactive. Submit access, obviously, because it's a public form, it says that, you know, there's unrestricted submit access, and anybody who has the data link is able to make a submission against that form. Obviously, I can modify the data template by clicking there. So let's say, you know, I wanted to make a change to the data template. I go there, and, you know, that's my data template. I can add elements, delete elements, change the name, do that sort of stuff. Right? If I just wanted to make a submission against this, I can just, you know, click there, and it'll take me to my form, and I can actually make a submission against it. Right? So just to quickly show you, if I was to say, as you can see, the submit button is actually disabled right now because all my required fields have not been you know, entered yet. So if I was to say, you know, it's telling me that you should have at least 2 characters, like I said. So that's my submission. Let's say let's say that's a new construction, and it's showing me my budget. Let me select that option, and And as you can see, now that we have satisfied everything, all the conditions of the form, that submit button is clickable. I'm not going to click it right now. I'm not going to make that submission. I'm just going to hit the back button for now. And again, it's showing me, if I click on the submissions link, it's telling me, sorry, we couldn't find any data template submissions because we haven't made any submissions against this one yet. And we will talk about this page in more detail later on. But you can obviously select from which date to which date you want the submissions to show up, what status, this is part of the workflow, what status the submission should be in, whether it's assigned to any particular person, etc., etc. But then again, I'm not, right now we don't have any submissions, so it's not showing me any submissions here. Okay, and so yeah, again with the reports, no reports will be generated right now because of course there is no submissions. And and then the last link here is to get the embed code. And how I mentioned that you can embed this into your website. This is giving detailed instructions of exactly how to embed this page into your website. Basically, it's just you click that copy button and paste into the head section of your website on the page that you want this form to appear, and that's all you really need to do to embed this into your website. I just want to get a little bit organized here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it public data templates, and then I'm going to create that folder. So as you can see, we have a folder here for public data templates. If I click on that folder, again there's an options button. I can rename this folder. I can create another folder which will be underneath it. It will be nested under this folder. I can delete the folder if it doesn't contain any data templates, and then I can create a brand new data template inside this folder by hitting that button right there. So let's do one thing. Let's just click on the options here and move this from root to my public data templates folder. I'm gonna hit the move button, and now as you can see, it's in my folder here, right? So and you can get pretty detailed, and you can put as many folders as you want. You can have different number of folders, and you can create folders within folders, etc., etc. Whatever you find is the best way to get organized, you can do it that way, right? So let me just let me put another folder here, and just to give you an example. So if I click here, I can say create new folder, and I'm going to call it let's say website. These forms I'm going to be putting on my website. I'm going to create that, and then so we have that, and let's move this one into that folder. So I can just say actually move it to website folder, hit the move button, and now you can see that this form is now inside the website. So it gives you the option of getting organized and not having everything show up in one page. Okay, so as you saw, it's pretty simple to create a data template or a form, just dragging and dropping elements onto the form. And then also to get organized, it's pretty simple. Create folders and subfolders and get organized that way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Please like the video if it brought any value to you. Subscribe, that way you'll always be up to date with our very latest videos. That's it for now. Thank you so much. Bye.